Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of And Now You Know with Bette and Julz. I'm Bette.
And I'm Julz.
And it's starting to get a little chilly here in Dallas. So
Love
it is sweater weather.
It's what? It was summer yesterday, and today it's winter.
Yes, I think we woke up to like 50 degrees today.
No,
which
it was
is
in the 40s.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was cold. It was very cold.
Mm-hmm. We had to wear our hats and our gloves and our coats and everything on our walk.
Yeah, I'm a
morning.
90s kind of girl.
I am not.
I love when it's nice and toasty out.
This is what I live for.
Yeah, no. The only reason why this is good is for, we have a restaurant around here called Seasons 52, and they have amazing soup.
Yep.
So, excuse me, this weather is really good for soup and really good for like hot tea.
I like sweaters. I like fireplaces. I like soup. I like red wine.
Yeah.
I had a glass of red wine last night.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't like hot, like room temperature wine. I only like red wine when it's sangria and it's over ice.
Well, you can put wine in the fridge if you want to.
Yeah, it's just
It doesn't matter.
The whole red thing. I don't know.
I'm not a huge red wine person, but in the fall, there's something about red wine and a fire and classical music, and it just is like the perfect.
Something cozy. That's how I feel about like a nice, warm mug of whatever, whether it's like, broth or tea or, whatever, a latte.
I think I like the clothes better in fall and winter too.
Really?
I like sweaters and I like hoodies and I like boots and
I do like sweaters, but I'm all about a strappy sandal.
it's easier to
Some
get
heels
dressed in
that
the
are
summer.
open-toed, like cute little summer dresses and
Throw
open-toed
on a
shoes.
sundress and sandals and a hat and you're ready to go.
Ready to go.
I do like the coziness of fall and it takes a long time for fall to get here. So
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's funny that we say all that, and I was just talking about how awesome the summer is. But I would categorize. I think fall is also one of my favorite seasons too.
You don't like winter.
I hate the winter.
I love winter.
I hate snow. Hate it.
I love snow days. It turns me into a cooking maniac.
Yep.
I want to cook chicken and dumplings and stew and brownie. I just want to cook all those things that are comfort food.
Yeah.
I love it.
I also don't like heavy rain, so I'm not a fan of the spring when it's super wet out.
I like all of it.
No,
I always
no
get
thanks.
on to her because we live on the lake and I watch the lake levels go down and I'm like, we need the rain. So now she's changing.
So now when rain comes, I just, thank God for watering my lawn for free.
And filling the lake up with water so we can do
that of course,
so we
for
have
that
water.
too. Yeah. So I had to change my attitude. I had to turn that frown upside down and be grateful for the rain. So whatever.
I'm trying to lean back when we laugh now because we've noticed that we're
blowing out these mics when we laugh so loud into them.
Yeah.
So sorry for blowing out your eardrums.
Yeah.
We will back up.
Yeah, when we laugh.
Yeah.
We actually have a topic today.
We do. Okay.
But we've been doing this all day.
Yes.
We have talked about 50,000 things already.
We got together and we were supposed to start recording 2 hours ago. And I was out of town. And this is the first time I've seen her in a week. And so we were catching up. And so we talked about a million different things. And we should have been recording, but we weren't. So anyway, okay, so here we are. So let's talk about today's topic, which we literally just decided on like 3 minutes ago. Today we're hyper-focused on hyper-independence. And what's so funny is that we both came up with this topic because we had seen all this stuff come up on social media on the reasons why people become so hyper-independent, specifically women. We're talking about women.
Mm-hmm. And right before we turned this on, Bette was walking out of the room to go get something. And I said, can hyper-independence and codependency live together in the same person? And at first she said no. And I said, but I am both of those. I'm not now. I'm recovering. I'm in what's called remission. I don't think that you ever fully recover from codependency or hyper-independence. I think if you've got those, but both of those come from some form of trauma.
Yeah. Yes, it is. So one thing that we learned okay, let me go back to your question.
Yeah.
Because I specifically said my immediate response was to say no, but then I had to think back to who I was in the past in my marriage. And I would say that I was also both. I would say that I was codependent, which is interesting.
It's really weird.
Very interesting perspective, because we had not talked about that.
Because it doesn't sound like that you could
It doesn't sound like they could go together
No.
at all. But I do believe that I was codependent, for sure. We were codependent, in the marriage. But then I was absolutely hyper independent the whole time. And so let's talk about that. That coming from a trauma response of feeling either let down or abandoned, or you have nobody to count on. And so you just kind of, really, I feel like it's you build this fortress around your heart. You come up with, this is your protection mechanism, right? To protect yourself from needing help, asking for, well, that's what it ends up being.
You just don't rely on
You don't rely on
anyone.
anybody. Yeah.
And codependency is not about being being dependent on someone. To me, and listen, I'm not a doctor. Betty's not a doctor. We're talking about this from sitting in the seat.
Yeah.
Of
And
being
actually-
of being hyper independent and codependent.
Yeah.
And codependent.
And the curiosity of it all.
Yeah, for me was being able to see somebody else's problems and focusing on them and trying to fix them. And it what kept me busy enough to where I didn't need to look in the mirror and be accountable to myself. And that's, for me, and everything that we're talking about, that's my entire platform on this, is being accountable to yourself and realizing that if you've got things in your life that are failures and big mistakes, you're the common denominator.
Right.
And if you're hyper independent and codependent, that could be... That's probably your problem.
Yeah. Okay. Shout out to Terry Cole. I read her book. It's called HFC.
I read that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
High functioning codependent.
Yeah.
It's actually a condition.
Yeah.
She is a psychotherapist, I believe, but you can follow her on Instagram. So she was the speaker. One of my mentors, and I've said this before, one of my mentors is Danny Morell, and she was a guest speaker at one of his. Actually, it was a podcast. It was his podcast. She was a guest speaker, and she was talking about her book, and so. As she's talking about it, I'm like, she's talking about me.
Right.
And then I told her about it. And then I told my sister about it. And then we all got the book and we were all reading the book. And then my other friend, I told her about it too. Because it's funny, you do attract people that are like you.
So hyper codependence does go together.
So it actually, it's kind of weird how that happens. But so you have high functioning codependence, which is not necessarily about hyper independence, but it is still a trauma response. There's still a thing. So let me tell you about the book. I'll tell you a little bit about the book. We've read the book, and then you can read it and learn more about it. Follow her on Instagram.
And I recommend that you read it.
Absolutely, because there was so much about that book. She absolutely was.
She wrote it from a place of experience and then her education and knowledge.
And now in her practice,
yeah.
Now she's able to help people and guide them through into recovery. So the whole thing about high functioning codependent, if you find yourself constantly, really it's overdoing, you're distracted, you're constantly looking for all these things, you are maybe known as the problem solver. In my previous life, one of my previous jobs, people used to call me Olivia Pope. And if you remember the show Scandal, written by Shonda Rhimes, the same writer as Grey's Anatomy, she had this show called Scandal, and Olivia Pope was the main character, and she was like the problem solver. Everybody hired her when there was an issue that needed to be fixed, that needed to be hidden, that needed to be whatever. So Olivia Pope was like the fixer. Everybody knew her as the fixer. And for me, in my job, everybody called me the fixer. If there was a problem, I was the one that they were calling. If there was a situation, whatever it was, they were calling me. And I took great pride in being the problem solver, the fixer, because I remember feeling like I can fix anything and anyone.
Yep.
Here's the problem.
It's a lot of pressure.
But
I was called the pioneer woman because
Yeah.
I would, embark on new land.
Yep, exactly. Well, because it's usually something that somebody else doesn't want to
Right.
do.
And
It's
I'm like, I'll do
usually-
it.
Yes. So here's the blessing and the curse. Number one, you always have your plate full. You're always busy. There's always something in front of you. Somebody's always relying on you. Constantly people are pulling at you for your time, for your advice, for your attention, for this needs to be done, blah, 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 blah. So you have all that going on, which you feel really wanted. And you actually feel like people need me, people value me, all that stuff. So, that can feel nice. But at the same time, what I learned on the other side of that is that I was so distracted. I was so busy. I was so overdoing for everybody else that I was at the bottom of the list. I was at the heaviest that I have ever been physically. My mental health was not great. My emotional health was not great. I completely neglected everything about myself because I was doing for everybody else.
I remember one time her coming back from a trip and she just looked so drained. And she was my boss. And I told her, I said, you have got to put some boundaries around this because I see you burning completely out.
Yep. And I did. And at the time, I would never say no.
Yep.
I wouldn't, even when I wanted and my body was screaming, say no, don't take on anything else. I would say yes. I would take on more. I would be working 24/7. I was
It was crazy.
Running on fumes.
And so then I finally said, what can I do to help you?
Yeah. And then I started delegating.
Yes. And I started taking things on.
did.
And then my friend, who also worked with us, thought I was crazy. But it wasn't because I was hyper independent or codependent at that time. I just knew that I had time and the bandwidth, and I wanted to expand my knowledge base, and I wanted to be irreplaceable.
Yeah. And she
her.
was. And she was. And here we are. We are no longer at that company. And it's funny, we have been on quite a journey together. And
Yeah.
if you've seen any other episodes, you know what we're talking about. We have been together. That was one company when we met.
But she was going through her divorce, that there were so
there
many
was
things that
so
were
much
going
going
on
on.
in her life. And God had put me in the middle of it at this time.
Yeah.
And I just knew as a human, not as an employee or her being my boss or any of that. I just knew as a human and a person who loves God, I needed to help her.
Yeah, and so fast forward, she absolutely did. This is why we're here today with this whole thing. So not only did she help me, and she absolutely entered my life. It was totally a God thing.
Oh, yeah.
She entered my life through this job, but it was for a much bigger calling.
Yeah.
And so here we are. We left that company, but we have been to like 3 other adventures together
Yeah.
that we've continued to stay on. And then we have this whole thing that we had talked about for years and years, and now here we are doing it. So basically, kind of wrapping that whole thing up, in my case, learning about hyperindependence, I absolutely understand. For myself, it was a trauma response because I was let down so often by people that I didn't want to let anybody else down, even though I was letting myself down. But well,
it's easier to let yourself down than someone else.
Well, you think it's easier,
right? But it's not.
But it's really
it's
not.
draining. I mean, you end up. I call it sucking the creamy goodness out of you, and that's what I told her. I was like, think about a milkshake from Dairy Queen or Andy's or wherever you go get a milkshake at, and the way it sounds when that is, it's so delicious. And then it's empty. And then it's sound, empty. And that's what we allow.
That is the sound of great sadness.
It's so sad when it's over.
Yeah. But that is really how you feel when you are empty at the bottom and you have given everything to everybody else and you are empty. But to understand that you are now at that position because of a wound right? So this is now how you think you're defending yourself, how you think you're protecting yourself, but really you're just causing more damage
to yourself,
more distress, more mental instability.
And kind of the problem with it from a relational standpoint is that you kind of don't know if they love you because they love you or they love you because of everything you do for them.
Right.
And my hyperindependence and codependency came from having to grow up, first of all, overnight after my father died, and then realizing the things that I could do put a big smile on my mother's face, and I just started getting these accolades. And then I kind of was raised in the mentality of if you want something done, then done right, then you've got to do it yourself. So I put this hat on, or this armor on of like, I'm not going to ask anybody to help me because they're not going to be able to do it as good as I do it. And that's how I lived my life. And then fast forward to Jay Carradine, and it's been an adjustment to have somebody, I've read this before, and it says, well, it's the little boy and the little girl. You sent me a picture of it too.
Yeah.
And a real man
knows that you're capable
of doing it by yourself.
Well, we're going to totally butcher this quote.
We are.
I think it's
a real man knows you can do it alone.
Yes. But I think it's the real man is the second part. So whatever the quote is, darn it. Okay, we're totally messing this up. But what's so cool about it is that if you have a partner in your life and he knows that you're capable, he knows that you are able to, do different things, and it's really not demeaning or belittling you for the contributions or the appreciation, all of those things. Like, they know that you're capable of doing it, but
alone.
But
they're not going to make you do it alone.
But that is the part when you have the right partner, when you have somebody in your life that loves you and wants to take care of you. And that's the hard part for somebody who is hyper independent out of need for your whole life. You don't know how to accept it. Of course, when you have healed through it, absolutely, that is what you want. You want the partner that won't make you do it by yourself.
Right. Because
they want to do it without you asking.
And it's weird because that is an adjustment.
Yeah.
It's hard to relinquish. And we're coming up on the holidays right now, and I still get anxiety sometimes because of all the work that has to be done. And I'm so used to doing all of it all alone. But I'm not. I mean, for the past 13 years, Jay has helped me. And, it's almost like I have to remind, well, it's not almost, I do. I have to go, oh yeah, Jay's here. I don't have to, I don't have to have this. But it's been interesting because I'm writing this book right now, and I'm in a part of it that's really challenging. I had to write these letters to my mom and my dad, and I'm writing a letter to my dad right now. And I lost my thought.
Give it a second.
It'll come back.
It will come back. Okay.
That happens.
That happens so often in our conversations. It's so funny. Okay. Give it a minute.
Yeah, it'll come back.
I want it to come back. Do we need to pause really for a minute?
No, let's
You're writing a letter to your dad.
I'm writing a letter to my dad.
And this is the challenging
part.
It's
It's very difficult because I haven't talked to my dad since I was 14 years old, obviously. And so it's not only emotionally challenging, but what I'm trying to do is just, here it is. What I realized is that I have anxiety, and I haven't had this in a while since I've, gone through my healing journey and recognized my codependency and my hyperindependence. But my skin used to burn really, really bad. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and I've realized, and it came back to me while I was in the middle of working on this letter, that I'm sure that that's exactly how my body reacted the moment that I heard he was gone. And that's what I felt like every time I was alone. I would feel that weight, and literally my skin would burn. And if you can go back to that little person, that little girl, and hold her and love her the way that she needed to be loved and understood. It's just such a gift that you can give to yourself in this whole hyper independence and codependency. And when my doctor told me that I was codependent, he told me, you are horrifically codependent. And that created its own level of anxiety. I was like, oh my God. And it's like, there's not really a cure for it. There's just an awareness and having to, I just knew that I didn't want to do what I was doing anymore. So it had to change.
You know, this is the thing that's really interesting. You know, Julz talks about the moment that she finds out, you know, that her dad passed away. And if we all really just take a moment, I think we're always in such a rush. We're always thinking about the future, and we don't take a moment to like think back, because there's so much knowledge and there's so much opportunity to go back to that moment, to that child version of you. And for me, I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about childhood trauma. I didn't know anything about all of this that is wired and subconsciously running in you. I didn't know any of that. And so when I started my whole healing journey and doing spiritual work and all of that stuff, I know this about myself that I learned now over the last couple of years. There are 3 very specific points in my life. And one was when I was 6 years old. One when I was, let's see, how old was I in the second one? Okay, there was 3 different ones. Now I can't remember how old I was. But one of them I was 6 years old. One of them I was, I think, 16 or 17 years old. And then I had another one, again, I can't remember one of them. But as when this hit me, I realized, holy crap, because it took me back to, I just spit on the mouth.
I saw it. I wasn't going to say anything. Don't get too close.
I will edit that out.
No, I think it's funny.
Anyway, so it took me back to, 14. Okay, that was it. Yeah. 14. So 6, 14, and probably 17. And I was a senior in high school. I remember that. And I remember the feeling, like when you think about that feeling, I remember the feeling of those very specific situations, things that happened. And they created a root, which is what we call like the thing. The thing that if you go back to, that's kind of the thing that you have to kind of dig up and clean up. Yeah. And so for me, I realized I became such a hyper independent person, and it was 100% because I built this wall to protect myself. Yep. And I knew that if I needed to get something done, I needed to do it. Nobody was coming to save me. I needed to do it. But then you put yourself on such an island. You end up creating all this really unnecessary stress and anxiety for yourself. Well, and you kind of
connect yourself to other people who aren't independent at all.
Right.
And they are just like these weights. They're like anchors that are just pulling you, and you're strong. You are hyper independent enough that you can keep everybody afloat.
Well, again, it's a blessing and a curse, because the ability to do all that, I mean, that speaks to a level of strength and determination and grit that's actually really awesome. Like if you can do that.
And exhausting.
It is exhausting. The negative part to that is that it is seen by others, specifically certain kinds of people that love to use that and drain your energy. Yep. So you end up attracting people.
Yeah, and that's where the codependency comes in.
Yes, you end up attracting takers that find... I mean, that energy is pretty rare.
They have to plug into your energy.
Right.
Because they can't create it on their own.
Right.
They can't.
Right. So then you end up having a bunch of leeches on you.
And those are the ones that suck the creamy goodness out, your milkshake out of you.
Right.
And then you are left, you have got to get yourself with people that give to you as much as you give to them.
Yeah. And
as a matter of fact, I took a picture of something, and I'm going to go keep talking.
As you look for it, I'm going to say 2 things. So not only should you, as people, what you want is to pour into people as they also pour into you. Because what we should be doing is helping each other out, helping each other grow, helping each other, like level up in life. And if you're not... when 2 givers become friends, it's like magic. I water you, You water me. We never drain each other. We just grow. How perfect is that? Something that I want that.
I know.
Okay,
I'll send it
that
to you right
is
now.
so perfect. So yeah, so that's what you want, right? You want the relationship to be between, honestly, ideally, you want two givers because you want to give and you automatically will receive because you're giving from a person who's also a giver
Yep.
because they want to water you and you want to water them, right? The other part of this that's also really important is to remember that you have to put your oxygen mask on first,
Yep.
which when you are hyper independent, you don't.
No. What was that video that we just watched about when you've got a dominant?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was really good
That's
too.
really
That was really
good.
good. So this was you all have heard me talk about Ace Metaphor in the past. He's on Instagram and he hosts this podcast.
Start following him.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
He hosts this podcast called Tonight's Conversation podcast. And so there's this lady. Her name is Kitty, and she's a Christian. I think she's a Christian counselor. I'm not really sure of like her specific title, but she has incredible advice. And I have listened to her and followed her speak to other people, but everything she focuses on is she is a warrior for Jesus, is what she says. That's what she calls herself.
love it.
She's a warrior for Jesus. So everything is very biblical. Everything is that's her approach. That's her angle. But she was in that conversation. One of the other panelists was talking about when you have a dominant. What was the other one?
A dominant versus a submissive.
Yes, a dominant versus a submissive, you can create peace because there's balance, right? You have kind of the ebb and the flow going on with the dominant and the submissive. If you have a submissive and a submissive, you also have peace because you, again, givers and givers, right?
Yep.
When you have a dominant and a dominant, this is where it's war.
Yeah.
And that was so interesting to hear from that perspective because when you are, and I'll give an example, if you're in a relationship and you are a hyper independent woman, which essentially means you're in your masculine.
Yep.
You feel like you have to do it all yourself. You feel like you have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. And you're basically kind of bulldoze your way around is really a lot of the time what you're doing. Well, a dominant masculine man, that's going to be a problem. If you are a dominant masculine woman trying to be in a relationship with a dominant masculine
But
man.
I don't think dominant masculine men are attracted to dominant masculine women. That's
true.
I think
That's
they
true.
present themselves as being dominant, but they're not really.
Yeah. No.
They like her energy and they plug into her.
Yes.
And she can make him look really good.
Yes, and this is where the entire kind of conversation has come from of like beta men and toxic masculine, that whole thing where a man wants to kind of puff out his chest and boast about being this dominant masculine, but really he's not because he's the one that wants the princess treatment. He's the one that wants his woman to do for him.
Yeah.
He's the one asking a woman, what do you bring to the table? A divine masculine man would never say that shit to a woman.
No.
Would never say that to a
No, they
woman.
just do.
They just do.
Yeah.
And they are the ones, for people like me, a recovering hyper-independent
Yep.
woman.
Codependent.
For a person like me, I don't care about your words anymore. I
Nope.
want to see your action. And so for me, it's really, really important. Everybody knows in the whole dating world, you have to learn to dissect that real quick because every man wants to be perceived as this dominant, this dude, King Dingaling over there. Everybody
There's a lot of king dinglings out there, ladies. Be careful.
people men want to show up as that person, but that's not real. That is not really. You think you're going to get a helpful man who wants to take care of you and help you and whatever.
But that's why it's so important that you give a relationship plenty of time.
Yes,
Because
yes.
they can act like they're that dominant,
Yeah.
leadership role, man of a man, dude guy.
Yeah.
But over time, you see them
Over
revert
time.
back to the age where they got stuck, which can sometimes be like a 5-year-old, and it is not attractive.
Yep. It is not.
Let me tell you.
It is not because, and this is why we have such a high percentage of single women that want to stay single and unmarried because of the experiences that they've had with like what they call as like a man-child, right? Because
I don't know what's happened to
I don't
the
know what's happened either.
masculinity in this
Exactly.
world, but there is a lot of talk about it on all platforms.
On all the platforms. This is why we're talking about
yeah.
it because, well, not only because of our own experiences, but it's actually crazy because statistically they're talking about how really we are now living in a society where there's less marriages.
I know.
People are not interested in marriage,
And
like
women
they
will
used
have
to be.
babies on their own, which I don't think is a good idea. I learned through the hard way in life that daddies are very, very, very important.
Yeah, and no shame if that's what you've decided to
No,
do. Personally,
no.
I would never like. Now, of course, I am divorced, and so you're still. I'm a single mom. However, my kids have their dad.
Right.
They still have a father involved. I personally would never sign myself up to go have a child on my own. I know women have done it,
Yeah.
and kudos to them.
Yeah,
if they
and
want to
I
do
know
it.
some. I know some.
Kudos to them if they want
Yeah.
to. But this is also again personal preference where we have people shaming other people.
Yeah, and I'm not doing that.
No,
I'm
not at all.
But daddies are important. I'm just gonna
I
say
think
that.
daddies are important, and this is coming from a person whose daddy was emotionally unavailable
Yeah.
my whole life. So for me, I really think about the difference that could have made in my life. And so, yes, I would have wanted that experience for myself, and I absolutely want it for my daughter.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to raise a child by myself, fatherless, completely, like going in, planning that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that. And then on the other hand, you also have some women that are shamed when they decide that they don't want to have any kids at all.
Right.
And that happened on social media too. And I had messaged a girl and I think that when somebody has made the decision, there is a reason why they made that decision. And I don't think they owe an explanation to anybody.
They don't.
Of why they have decided to be
is
childless.
Hard.
Yeah.
It's a very hard job. And I actually applaud someone who realizes that they aren't a good match for that role in this life.
Yep.
I always wanted children. Now, I tripped through it, which probably most people do because there's no manual for what to do. There's so many things that I would go back and change, but you can't look in your rearview mirror.
Right.
But a lot of the problem is that I didn't recognize my codependency and my hyperindependence until later.
Right.
And so my kids had to live through that with me, and now they have their childhood trauma that they've got to deal with, and I would cut the left side of my body off to change it for them.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and then
But they're all three really good kids.
They are.
Yeah.
And this is not about the kids because the kids, we've said this before, the kids are a blessing. This is not about any kids.
No.
Right? This is about the situation that we put kids in.
Right. And so it's important to recognize it. So
Yeah.
maybe you can stop that
Right.
generational curse, and you somebody needs to stop it.
Right. Because we put these kids in these no-win situations, and then we create these trauma experiences for them, and then we have societal issues.
Yeah.
Societal issues, right?
But it's because we just do what we know
Right.
when we're raising them.
Right. We all know that person, whether it's a friend or a family member. We all know several people. I know a lot of people that have one kid, one child, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or whatever of them. And it makes you think they probably shouldn't have had any. They probably shouldn't have had any. And if they, maybe 1 or 2, but because you worry about the future of the children. That's how I think of it.
Yeah.
I worry about, okay, now that kid has been put in a situation where I feel bad for the life experience that they're going to have. And I hope they make it.
I know.
I hope that they're able to. So
They'll make it, but
Yeah.
it could be really hard.
Yeah, of course they'll make it. But,
I mean, it's hard anyway. Even when things are good, it's
Right.
hard.
Right. I'm not sure how we got on the kid thing. What happened how did we get on the kid thing? 'Cause
I
we
don't
were-
know. I think
I'm not sure.
we're just talking about the generational damage that codependency and hyperindependence and the things that have caused that in us probably stemmed from something that happened even in our parents.
Yep.
And, it just goes back. And so you have to reach
sometimes
a place.
it's before that.
Generation.
Right.
Generation. And I know that I don't know how far back it went, but my dad's mother died when he was 16. And then my dad died when I was 14. And so I was terrified that I was going to die when my kids were in their teens. So I prayed every single day that God would let me live until my children became adults. Well, now I've lived well past that. And maybe I did recognize a generational curse that was going on. I don't know, but I'm glad that I'm here. I'm glad that I get to apologize to my kids for some of the things that I drugged them through because of my own illness. And I'm just glad that I figured it out before my life was over.
Yep. And you did.
Yeah.
And for your kids, regardless of what they decide to do with their future, they will have a different experience because of it.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel the same way about my kids because I definitely look at kind of like my family line and I 100% see the changes that I have made that have already and will continue to make an impact in the lives of my kids.
Yep.
So I know that to be true. But all of this goes back to, again, the topic hyperindependence. If you don't recognize it, if you have, you can't fix what you don't know is there.
It's interesting because when I think about hyperindependence and codependency, they're almost the same thing. They really are. It's just you taking care of situations that you don't think anybody else can do. They are the same thing, I think.
Well, that's true in different ways.
It is. It's weird.
Because the hyper independence for me is shutting everybody out.
Yeah.
The codependency is fixing everybody else while you shut you out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this opposite thing that you're doing to yourself.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
It's so weird.
Wow.
We just figured that out.
Yeah, seriously. We've had, it's funny because, for me, my whole, kind of healing journey, it all started after my divorce. And I have said this before, like my ex and I actually do get along quite well, but it is amazing to me that from the most pain, right? From the thing that was the darkest period in my life, the most painful actually was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Same.
And really gave me the biggest blessing of my life.
You've got to be willing to open your eyes up though and learn from it. And man, I had to touch the hot stove repeatedly. And the last time was what I called the grand finale. And I literally just was like, I don't want to live if I can't figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done living like this. Tell me what's wrong. Let this hyper-independent person figure it out and fix it.
Yeah.
But when you're going on that healing journey, like with my therapist, I had gone to see many, many therapists, but we weren't talking about the problem.
Yeah, who you go to, who
matters.
You're seeking guidance and counsel from, absolutely matters. And what I'm hoping is that this information is helping you to maybe kind of pique your curiosity and maybe helping you understand a little bit about you. But there are some amazing books, and specifically the Terry Cole book. She has multiple, actually. Another one is called Boundary Boss. That's another really good one. But people like her that I feel like do the work, that internal work. Start following people like her. Start attending. Of course, you can do one-on-one therapy and all of that. But the one thing that kind of you have to be careful of with talk therapy is that depending on who it is, because you had a great one.
Yeah.
A lot of times you end up talking and rehashing certain things, but you don't really ever go back deep enough to pull it out, the root.
You've got to talk about you. If you're in a relationship that's not working out, a lot of times therapists are going to ask you what's going on in that relationship. It's not about the relationship.
Right, exactly.
It's about what made you get into that relationship and why do you think you deserve a certain treatment that you're getting that is leading to the demise of the relationship.
Right.
And why are you still there?
Right. It's the same thing if it's a relationship or if it's a job that you're miserable at. Why are you there? Why do you feel like you deserve that? Why
Right.
do you feel like that is the only thing available to you?
We just pretend sometimes.
Yes, we do.
That's it. We get stuck.
Yeah. There's a guy. He's a business guy, but he has really great content, and his name is Dean Graziosi. And one of the things that I learned from him, and he credits somebody else for learning this, but I'm just going to share it because I got it from him. But in any area of your life, he talks about doing the seven levels deep question. So you can
really
ask
good.
this about the career that you're in. You can ask it about the relationship you're in. You can ask it about the kind of parent that you are or who you want to be, or if you're curious about going in a different direction, whatever the question is, ask the question. And then when you get your answer, now you go back into that answer and ask another question, right? So you continue to do that for 7 layers. And it actually brings you back. I remember when I did it for the first time and I asked myself the question 7 layers deep, it was one of those aha epiphany moments, and I started crying.
Yeah.
Because I, for the first time, understood the things that I do in my current present day all stemmed from this thing that happened to me when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I would have never gotten to that answer had I not asked the 7 layers deep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Didn't we do that at work? Didn't you have us do
I
that
probably did
exercise?
because I got it from somebody else and then I shared
we
it.
did.
Yeah.
I didn't set the timer, but if I did, it would be going off now.
Okay.
But we can
Well,
keep
that's fine.
talking if you want to. I just wanted to let you know.
Well, I mean, I'm done with that point.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like this conversation could go on.
It could.
Because there's so many
we
things.
may have to do a part 2.
Yeah, we might have to do a part 2. If we do a part 2, well, first of all, I want to know if y'all want to see a part 2. And if you do want a part 2, I really want it to be from the feedback and the comments that we get. So as you all know, the comment section below, is there something that we said today that made you think about yourself? Is there something that you're curious about that you want to know more about? Is there an example in your life that you want to ask us about and maybe get some feedback or whatever? But we want to continue the conversation, and we do think that this could open the door to people uncovering more about themselves, which is the entire goal and purpose of this podcast. So please share comments, feedback, share this episode with anybody that you feel like this could benefit. And while you're here, like I always say, binge watch a couple others. We have just posted, I'm not sure what number this is
30.
going to be. But
well, we just posted 34.
We just posted 34, but I don't know what number this is going to be. This might be like 38 or 39, possibly. But at the time that this airs, we do have a lot of great content, and we have been hitting so many different types of topics. Sorry, I hit the mic again. So many different types of topics that I really think that there is something here for everybody. If you're in a happy marriage, then the dating content clearly isn't for you.
Right.
But maybe there is something about whether it's hyperindependence or, probably not codependency if you're in a happy marriage. But maybe it's something about your career, or maybe it's something about self-discovery. Who knows?
But I think everything that we talk about overlays not just in marriage or...
Oh, I agree.
I mean, it overlays in relationships everywhere, at work, your neighbors, your friends, your kids, your husband. I mean, no marriage is perfect, and we just want to help get it as close to perfect as we can.
Yeah. Yep.
Because it's nice. Jay and I don't live in a perfect marriage either, but we have created a line of communication, an understanding, an appreciation, boundaries, where we're kind of in this bubble and we have things, coming at us, but it doesn't ever affect us. And I need to knock on wood, because I think the enemy loves to have you throw things like that out there and him go, okay, well, let's just check this out. Let's see what you do with this one. So,
and as you're saying all of that, my mind immediately went to what all of this boils down to. Regardless of the topic, regardless of who we're talking about, regardless of the thing, it all goes back to communication and authenticity.
Yep.
I feel like if you are able to be honest and self-aware with yourself, and you're able to communicate effectively your needs, your wants, your desires, your the things that maybe that you're suffering with, because so many people suffer in silence and they just stuff down their feelings and don't talk about it. They don't ask for help. Again, another thing of hyper-independent women, not asking for help, don't want to accept it when it's offered to them. And so you end up suffering in silence, and you can end up becoming depressed. You can you can isolate yourself. You then feel like you're sitting on an island. And this is
You
the
get
kind
really
of
resentful, and you become very angry and bitter.
Yes, angry and bitter when, you may have people all around you that you're giving the vibes that you got it and you're good and you don't need any help.
But they're there to help.
But they're there to help and they want to help you.
Just like when we were working together.
Yep, it's true. That's how it started.
Yeah.
That's how because I'm the one that gave her the impression I was really good at that.
I read it because that was me.
Yeah.
15 years ago.
Yep.
And I saw it and I was like, oh man.
Yep. So I was running around, taking care of a million things. I was running on fumes, but I had a smile on my face. And so
she seemed so strong.
Most people thought I had my shit together. Most people thought, well, and I did. I was very good at my job and all
very
of that.
good.
But there were so many cracks in the foundation, and I have no idea what would have ended happening in my life if I had continued that. I don't know. I don't know where I would be today. I don't know what would have happened. I mean, clearly the marriage ended.
Yeah.
The marriage ended. I went in a different way with the career. Everything is different about my life, physically, spiritually, mentally. Everything is different. Clearly it all needed to change.
Yeah.
But but I was that girl. I was that girl.
I'm looking at that sign up there. Kindness changes everything.
Yep. Kindness changes everything. And it really starts with you being kind to yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I'm going to end it right there.
Yeah, I love it.
Anything else?
Perfect.
Final thoughts?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. We do have an email. If there's like a specific topic or conversation that you want to have directly with us, we're the only ones that read it and we're the only ones that respond. And it's hello@bettyandjulz.com, BETTE
JULZ.
And we thank you so much for joining us for a part of your day and sharing your time with us. We look forward to the next one.
Bye.
Bye.